Hi, hello. Welcome to another episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is April 13th, 2024. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. A little sleepy, but I had a productive laundry day so far, so I cannot complain. Happy about it. Let's see here. I will say the breakfast was today. I had problematic McDonald's. I know, I'm bad. I'm bad. Let's see. I had some hotcakes, a bacon and cheese biscuit, a sausage McMuffin, and yeah, no egg. Ugh. And then, gosh, I ate so much. A hash brown and an apple pie. All of it was, overall good. So, I'm happy about that. You know how McDonald's can be. But let's see here. Last night I did have Domino's, just keeping it bad, bad, bad. I had the two medium pizzas. Let's see, one of them was a barbecue base, onion, green peppers, and tomatoes. And then the other one was sausage and beef and provolone cheese. So yeah, I am getting fat off the hog. That is for sure. Let's see here. Like I said, just did some laundry. Had a really bad sleeping pattern. Like essentially, I posted the episode. I forgot to even upload on Spotify somehow. That was an accident. Oopsie. And some of the other ones, I essentially just got it up on YouTube last night. But I fell asleep. Then I woke up, and some of my friends were doing some gaming online, so I went ahead and did some of that. That was fun. It was cool hanging out with the boys digitally. But yeah, so overall, been a good from here to there, from last podcast to this podcast episode. Let me see here. Let me go ahead and do my startup, and then we'll get into some news. Do, 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 do. Ooh. All right. From the Associated Press. Run, run, run. Chaos at a Sydney mall as 6 people stabbed to death and the suspect fatally shot. A man stabbed 6 people to death at a busy Sydney shopping center Saturday before he was fatally shot, police said, with hundreds fleeing the chaotic scene, many weeping as they carried their children. 8 people, including a 9-month-old, were injured. New South Wales police said they believed a 40-year-old man was responsible for the Saturday afternoon attack at the Westfield shopping center in Bondi Junction in the city's eastern suburbs. They said they were not able to name him until a formal identification had taken place, but that they weren't currently treating the attack as terrorism related. The man was shot dead by a female police inspector after he turned and raised a knife. New South Wales Assistant Police Commissioner Anthony Cook told reporters. This all happened very, very quickly. The officer was in the vicinity, attended on her own, was guided to the location of the offender by people who were in the center. She took the actions that she did, saving a range of people's lives. The knife attack at the shopping center, which was a hub of activity at a particularly warm fall afternoon, began around 3:10 p.m. and police were called soon after. They just said, "Run, run, run. Someone's been stabbed," one witness told ABC TV in Australia. The attacker was walking really calmly, like he was having an ice cream at the park, or ice cream in a park. And then he went up the escalators, and probably within about a minute, we heard 3 gunshots. 6 of the victims, 5 women and a man, and the suspect died. The officers conducted CPR on the attacker until the arrival of the paramedics, who also worked on the man. Let's see. The baby was in surgery, but it was too early to know the condition. So that's obviously all very unfortunate. let's see here. They do kind of harken back to another attack. Australia enacted strict gun laws after a man killed 35 and wounded another 23 in 1996 in Tasmania. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's a shame that no matter what happens in terms of the laws that you enact, you do have people who just flip a switch, have whatever reasoning, and go, "Oh, I'm just gonna kill people today." I'm just gonna have this moment. Obviously it's very sad. It's very unfortunate to cover it. No matter where or from where. Let's see here. Really wasn't much else to add. So we will go ahead and move on to the next beat. I feel like I have a burp coming on. Excuse me. Ooh, it's a rolling one. Okay. I think we're back. Let's see here. The main story I wanted to pull from was from ABC News. Iran seizes Israeli-linked ship in Strait of Hormuz. In a report posted on X, the Iranian Tasnim state news agency affiliated with the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or the IGRC, said paramilitary Revolutionary Guard commandos seized a cargo ship near the Strait of Hormuz. The detained ship, named MSC Ares, operates under the flag of Portugal and is connected to the London-based company called Zodiac Maritime, which is partially owned by Israeli billionaire Eyal Ofer. So, I mean, we've kind of covered stories like this before. It's not really new. I think this is kind of getting a little bit more spotlight coverage because all of this week it's been a lot of, when is Iran gonna retaliate? It seems like they're probably gonna be retaliating sometime soon. Israel fears, or US fears. There's another kind of article attached where it's like you literally have Biden like saying, like, hopping up on the podium telling Iran to don't do it, don't stop it, don't even think about it. And this is essentially in regards to retaliation for Israel. I mean, they haven't come out and said it, but it all signs kind of point to them. And we talked about this before also, that they bombed a consulate, and essentially that's like right next to an Iranian embassy. And they are like, oh, Israel's like, we're not taking credit for it, but that's kind of what the score is. And now everyone's kind of worried about the retaliation now. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of unnecessary to really even do the coverage. This is probably about as much as I'm going to do on it until something actually happens. But I feel like this is kind of why this is coming up in the news about, hey, what is it? Remember the Red Sea shit. And this is Iran related. They're behind the scenes, marionetting the whole thing. And that's another thing that's kind of come up, is maybe they don't do a dramatic strike on Israel. Maybe they just do a bunch of stuff through proxies. So, what was another thing I wanted to pull from here? Palestinian man killed after Israeli boy goes missing, found dead in West Bank. A Palestinian man has been killed in the occupied West Bank, and 25 are reported hurt after dozens of Jewish settlers stormed a village during an Israeli search for a missing teenager. Israeli troops intervened after dozens of settlers stormed al-Mughayr armed with guns and stones. So it's obviously a very fucking unfortunate event that took place. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on. I mean, there's always going to be a lot to cover in this region, of course. But yeah, I just wanted to at least highlight a couple of things there. But yeah, let's go ahead and hit the Ohio River. From CNN, 26 barges break loose and float down Ohio River, causing damage and prompting bridge closures in Pittsburgh, officials say. A marina in Pittsburgh sustained extensive damage after 26 barges, most of which were loaded with dry cargo, broke loose late Friday night and floated uncontrolled down the Ohio River, according to authorities. Two Pittsburgh area bridges, about 2.5 miles apart, were closed after the barges broke free. The McKees Rocks Bridge was shut down out of an abundance of caution, McKees Rocks police said shortly after midnight. They may or may not come into contact with substructure, but we are not willing to take the risk. The Weston Bridge was also closed in both directions, and rail traffic was shut down on the rail bridge to Brunot Island, according to Pittsburgh city officials. No hazardous materials were on board the barges, according to the city. Of the 26 loose barges, 23 were loaded and carrying dry cargo, including coal, according to the news release. And just for maybe those who might not have a good picture of what a barge is, kind of just illustrated here, but of course you can always look it up. A barge often refers to a flat-bottomed inland waterway vessel which does not have its own means of mechanical propulsion. The first modern barges were pulled by tugs, but on inland waterways, most are pushed by pusher boats or other vessels. So essentially, these things kind of breaking loose, potentially kind of just, rolling away into, a bridge. You potentially have another key bridge situation like we, discussed in the past with Baltimore. I think they're still pulling out pieces of that, trying to get that port open and everything like that. It's going to take years to get that back together. But yeah, you're essentially wanting to avoid those kind of situations. So it's like, hey, let's just shut everything down. Let's, try to get these barges in order. So glad to see that really no one was hurt. There might be some damage to a marina, but that's a fixable thing. Lives are definitely a permanent kind of thing if you lose that. You know what I mean. While there have been no reports of people injured, Peggy's Harbor, a family-owned and operated full-service marina located on the Ohio River, was damaged. The release said, it is unclear exactly what the damage to the marina looks like. So, there's always that. So, yeah, there's a little bit of Ohio River news for you. Runaway barges. I should say floataway, right? But I don't know. I can't help myself. The vernacular just kind of sticks. All right, let's do a little bit of international news to close. It's a little bit of good news. Well, it's a good news tinged with a bit of bad. It's a bit baked in, if you will. I'm going to get the pun in before it gets sour. But yeah, let me go ahead and do my startup, and then we'll get into it. Did I say startup or last break? You know what I mean. Okay. Our last story comes from the BBC. Pompeii. Pompeii. Breathtaking new paintings found at ancient city. Excuse me. Stunning artworks have been uncovered in a new excavation at Pompeii, the ancient Roman city buried in an eruption from Mount Vesuvius in 79 AD. Let's see here. Archaeologists say the frescoes are among the finest to be found in the ruins of the ancient site. Mythical Greek figures such as Helen of Troy are depicted on high black walls of the large banqueting hall. The room's near complete mosaic floors incorporates more than 1 million individual white tiles. A third of the lost city has still to be cleared of volcanic debris. The current dig, the biggest in a generation, is underlying Pompeii's position as the world's premier window on the people and culture of the Roman Empire. Park director Dr. Gabriel Zutrix, Zutrigel, sure, presented the Black Room exclusively to the BBC on Thursday. It was likely the wall's stark color was chosen to hide the smoke deposits from lamps during entertaining after sunset. And the shimmering light, the paintings would have almost come to life, he said. And it is something that's really kind of surreal about it, because like you look at it and it's like, I don't know, my first instinct is to be like, that's kind of odd that they just like painted these things just on these really black, like sooty walls. and like that's it. But like if you take yourself back into those times, you know, and a time before you have projections and theaters and all that kind of shit, and you go, oh, okay, this is just like a really nice presenting room, and being able to like hang out and look at these stories that also like coincide with other paintings and lead to other stories, and you can kind of like riff on that and talk on that. You can kind of see how that plays into this really just like entertaining thing, and this is almost like an omniplex effect, but you know, back in that time. So I was like, oh, okay, that's really cool, it's really nice. And then just to really look at some of the artwork is just really amazing. Let's see here. There is a diagram in the article that kind of just lays out, you know, clue style, like, you know, where all the action was happening and where. Let's see. 2 set piece frescoes dominate, and one, the god Apollo is seen trying to seduce the priestess Cassandra. Her rejection of him, according to legend, resulted in her prophecies being ignored. The tragic consequence is told in the second painting, in which Prince Paris meets the beautiful Helen, a Helen of Troy, a union Cassandra knows will doom them all, resulting in the resulting Trojan War. Some Greek history, very fun. The Black Room is the latest treasure to emerge from the excavation, which started 12 months ago. An investigation that will feature a documentary series from the BBC and Lion TV to be broadcast later in April. You know, you got to plug that. Let's see, there's a lot of details, things that were found, yada, yada, yada. But something I definitely wanted to kind of talk about before we close it was the bakery part. It's actually pretty upsetting. I gotta scroll to it. There's also there's other cool paintings and works though. That's for sure. Frescoes. Did I scroll too far? I think I might have. But essentially, there was a bakery, and it's like, oh, okay, well, that's nice. That's, you know, because this is a whole establishment, you know, a place where you're hanging out, person lived or whatever. But it's like, oh, no, this was like a slave quarters. And essentially, the people who were making the bread all day, all night, like, you know, until they just died and were replaced or what have you, they were here. And there were literally bars and like the ceiling so that you couldn't escape. And like these people like died almost in like their cells during the whole, you know, eruption. So I was like, damn, that's pretty fucking sad. That's definitely a bummer time. But you know, that was the times that I guess they were living in. Not that slavery is, you know, a dead thing now, sadly. It's still going on. You know, you gotta say that. But yeah, an interesting find, a very cool development. I would implore you to go look up some of the art. I can only put like one thing in the thumbnail. I thought that was sweet, but there's definitely other cool little art. And art that I didn't want to put on the thumbnail that might get me, you know, clapped up, you know, banned up or anything, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's it. That's really all we have for today. Let's see. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon. Patreon.com/IsaiahNews. Become a newsie today. Free ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Let's see. Other free ways to find me, contact me, the socials, find me or the podcast there. Feel free to subscribe to the YouTube. Good way to keep up with the Joneses. You can do that on also Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever you're listening on. Really helps out a lot. And sharing is caring, leaving cool comments, hitting the like button. Those are all nice, positive things to do. But yeah, hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.